Welcome to Aired Out, brought to you by Capitol Showplace Montpelier and Paramount Theater Barrie. At FGBtheaters.com, CW Print and Design in Barrie, at CWPrintDesign.com, Peak Entertainment, PeakDJ.com, Cruise Planners, your land and cruise experts. In Vermont, CruisePlanners.com, Donnybrook Fight Promotions of Williamstown, CBDCrave.com. Presented by CVTV, Public Access Channel 192 and 194, CVTV723.org, Fontaine Forestry Millworks, Route 14 East Montpelier. Custom orders, rough, kiln dry, plain, tongue and groove, or shiplap. FontaineMillworks.com and Fly on the Wall Productions. Now, let's get aired out. It's JD Green. You've got Aired Out here on a Friday evening. It is an absolute pleasure to have you tuned in tonight. Thank you for subscribing. Our presenting sponsor of Aired Out, Fontaine Forestry Millworks on Route 14 in East Montpelier, just down from Bragg Farm. They cut it all. Custom cut. They do rough cut, planed, shiplap, tongue and groove. No matter what you're building, build it with the family over at Fontaine Forestry and Millworks. I have with me tonight in the studio at CVTV, Central Vermont Television, on Aired Out, Tim Hoehn from Four Legs and a Tail magazine. I know you have seen this magazine everywhere, all over the state. This is the man behind it. He has an incredible story, and you know what? You're just a plain hell of a good guy, man.
Well, it's so good to see you again.
Dude, first off, let's cheers.
There you go. Cheers.
Nice hot cup of coffee
Shoot,
here
perfect.
On a Friday night.
Yeah.
Buddy, I'm so happy to see you.
Well, I'm so glad to see you, too. I mean, you know, they always said you had the face for radio, but apparently you've finally proved them all wrong. You've got the face for television now, too.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you, man, it has been a wild couple of weeks of transitioning life outside of radio, and I figured out, it was actually the night before my last on-air shift on Friday, May 10th. I'm thinking, all right, what year was it that I got started on radio? It was 1989. I was 19 years old.
What century was it, huh?
Yeah, right. Well, 30 years, buddy. 30 years.
That's a long time of getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I noticed the bags are gone out of your eyes.
Are they?
Well, no, not really.
We're working on it. We're working on it. I'm a pillow sleeper, so anyway. But we have to talk about your magazine, and we're going to. But you have such an incredible story and life and history. So you have been a radio guy forever, for a long time.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I had heard about you before I even, I got started in radio in Vermont in the early 90s, and I had been hearing a little bit about Tim Hoehn. I think from Frankie Allen.
Oh, yeah, Frankie. I brought him in from New York.
You brought him in from New York?
Yeah.
You were, the general manager of WRFB?
Yeah, in Stowe, yep.
With Brian Harwood.
Yep, and Bill Riley was there.
Riley.
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great crew. Roland LaJoy was there as our program director. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Jeez. So, what made you? I know you could ask me the same question. What made you get the hell out of radio?
Well, I think radio kind of got me out. So
did it really?
Well, it was all that consolidation with when Clear Channel was buying up all the radio stations
and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, like around 2002, and then it just changed the business, and it just decided, when I sat down and said, well, gee, what am I really good at? What do I really like to do? And I said, well, I like watching TV, and so I got a job with Adelphia Cable at the time as the sales manager for Adelphia, and did that for a while, and they ended up getting sucked up by Comcast. And, I just didn't want to do the do the big stuff anymore.
The big sharks are getting bigger.
They are. That's what I love about Vermont, though. I mean, there's still still a lot of the mom and pops. So
absolutely.
And then must have been about 8-9 years ago. I was in the Lebanon area, and I was publishing the local phone book down there. And my youngest daughter, she was at VTC in the Vet Tech program, and she was just getting ready to finish up. She had about a month, maybe 2 months left, and she got pregnant with our first granddaughter.
Wow.
And they said, look, because of the liability involved, you're going to have to drop out. You can come back after your baby's born, but you're going to have to, finish up the program right now. And so she was really sad. She was like, oh, Dad, what am I going to do? I still love pets. And I said, well, honey, I'll start a little pet magazine, and you can be my writer. And so I started Four Legs and a Tail, had done absolutely no research at all, but I figured, hey, I've owned dogs and cats before. I should be able to publish a pet magazine. And thing just took off, so I sold the phone book to my business partner, and we started down in the Lebanon area, and then we expanded up north here with a different version of the magazine, and then down into the Keene Brattleboro area, and then the Rutland Middlebury area. So
this is so we launched this officially when now?
Must have been about the fall of 2011.
Okay, so not that long ago.
What year is it now?
It's 2019, last I checked.
So let's get our calculators.
God,
It's about 8 years, yeah.
About 8 years.
Yeah, so.
And it's cranking, man. It's just it's a quarterly. It comes out 4 times a year.
Yeah, we do about 60, 70,000 copies every quarter, and there's about 1,000 places you can pick it up. So it's a free publication. So it's a
free publication.
Yeah, so
you can find it everywhere. I mean, first off, get on fourlegsandatail.com. You'll find out all you can about the magazine. I think you even have a little. There's an online version of it too, right?
Yeah, you can also read it online.
Read it online.
Yep.
But you'll find it everywhere. Look for it in supermarkets? Where else?
Oh, supermarkets, pet stores, restaurants, convenience stores. Yeah, just all all around.
Right there, when you walk in, what are those things called that hold all the magazines?
I think they're called magazine holders.
Magazine holders. There you go.
Gosh, no wonder you got out of radio.
Oh. But there they are, and they're stacked up. They're free. This is not a cheap endeavor. This is it's a process.
Yeah, it is a process.
There's printing, there's writing, there's photography, there's distribution.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's web development. I mean, there's a lot to this, man.
Yeah.
How do you get it all done? You're not a one-man band?
No. We have there's probably like 5, 6 of us that work at the magazine. So
okay.
And then I have one of the other problems that I had was when I first started out, I like I said, I'd been a pet owner for a long time, so I figured I knew something about pets. And so something would come up, and I would be like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Right.
And so I kind of figured, well, look, if I'm the average pet owner and I don't know it, maybe there's other average pet owners here that might not know it too.
Of course.
So I kind of keep the writing based on, it's not for the hardcore pet person who knows everything and is looking for some, to write their thesis based off my magazine.
Right.
But we also found that the internet is wonderful, but there's a lot of misinformation on the internet.
Of course.
And so I have local vets that write for us. I have local food experts that write for us. So Vermont is a pretty special place, and New England's pretty special. And what may fly in Southern California doesn't necessarily fly here in Northern New England.
Right.
So,
and I'll tell you. I have spent so much time with this man, chatting, having a beer or 5, time in the car. I mean, just chatting with you. You know everyone in the region, not the state, that's connected to the pet industry. You know all of the food suppliers and distributors and pet food companies. The pet food industry is massive.
$27 billion.
27
in the U.S. alone.
We feed our pets better in many cases than we feed ourselves.
Well, exactly, and we
don't cut corners.
And a lot of that has to come with education. I mean, I think that the average consumer has become much more educated, and you look at even the lifespans of dogs. I mean, our pets are living a lot longer because of it, and they're living healthier too. I mean, It used to be when I was a kid. I mean, everybody had their dog for about 10, 11 years, and that was good. And but now, there's dogs that live 15, 16 years, and cats that are living over 20 years.
Right.
And, horses over 30 years. I mean, that was unheard of 20 years ago.
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with the nutrition that people are feeding their dogs now.
Right. Tell about we both know, and we've been trained to know that content is king. You've got content in this magazine. I'm telling you, folks, whether or not you even own a pet, if you pick one of these up and you start flipping through the pages, I can guarantee you that you will not put it down. And if you do, you will definitely be coming back to finish what it is that you were reading. There is captivating content in every magazine that comes out. Stuff about, you name it, horses, dogs, cats, anything that has 4 legs and a tail. Little disappointed though, Tim, I have to tell you.
I don't blame you, JD.
There's one thing I'm disappointed in with this magazine, and that's that you never have anything in here about snakes. Why are you so prejudiced?
Oh my
Why are
God.
you so prejudiced about snakes? They have a tail.
Are you a snake? Are you a snake guy?
I am not a snake guy. All right.
You know what? And it probably goes back to the radio station.
Oh no.
And I was a young guy working at WCVR in Randolph, and I was on air, and I was also the station's chief engineer. Yeah. And one day, Greg Price, my general manager, came to me and said, "Hey Tim, there's a snake at the radio station inside the station. You have to go get it."
You have to go get it.
I'm like, Greg, I really hate snakes. He said, "Well, it's in the tech area, so that's your department. You have to go get the snake." So I grabbed the spade, the shovel, and I'm looking around all the corners, and I'm looking around the workbench for this snake, and I kick the garbage can, and I see the snake, and I go after this snake, and I cut it in half, and there's a big spark at the end of the shovel because it wasn't the snake I just killed. It was the custom electrical cord for the satellite equipment.
Yeah.
Boom. Off the air for 2 days. And it's not like you have a $300 extension cord hanging around the back. So, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Never did find the snake, but, yeah.
Your mindset was kill or be killed.
Exactly. But hey,
you killed the station.
You live in Vermont. That's the attitude you have to take. I mean, one of the things I noticed today, it's been over 200 years that I think that the number one topic of conversation amongst Vermonters has always been the weather. Everybody wants to talk about the weather.
Right.
And if you don't like it, just wait a minute, right?
Yes,
you know the saying.
In New England, yes.
So, but I think that's changing. So this weekend I was working out in the yard and finished up, Sunday afternoon. And, we're sitting on the deck, my wife and I, and I say, honey, I got this little white spot on my forehead. I've had it for a couple of weeks now. She barely looks up. She says, "Oh, you probably want to get that checked out by the doctor. Could be cancer." I'm like, okay, I'll get that checked out. Well, a few minutes later, I didn't have my glasses on, and I'm rolling up my sleeve, and I said, "Honey, is this a tick I have on my arm?" And she bolted out of that chair. She's like, "Oh my gosh, it's a tick! It's a tick!" I mean, she flew for the tweezers, pulling that tick out. "You got to get that checked by the doctor on Monday. You have to make an appointment." I mean, now I think we are so paranoid about ticks. Not that ticks are good. Ticks are bad.
Sure.
Understandable.
Sure.
But we have gotten to the point where, everybody is tick crazy.
Yes.
Tick crazy.
Sherilyn's one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, with our little girl, our 4-year-old Lily, running around. And there's so much chatter about ticks now that they're like worse than ever before. You go in your backyard, you go outside, come back in, check yourself for ticks.
Exactly.
If you leave the inside, if you don't even leave your house, check yourself for ticks.
Check for ticks. Well, I saw 11 clients today. 6 of them wanted to talk about ticks.
Right.
And only one wanted to talk about the weather, and that was a golfer.
Right.
Well,
Right.
actually, a guy who's not actually golfing now because of the weather. But
12 species of ticks in Vermont. 4 of them carry Lyme disease.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway.
And it wasn't a problem 5 years ago. I mean, now the ticks have been migrating up north here.
Sure,
and,
of course.
And so
of course.
This is what we get to live with for the rest of our lives, unless we have a dog, right? Because then
now, the thing about dogs, and I want to ask you, are you a dog guy? Are you a little bit more partial to the cat? What about your wife?
I like them. I like them all. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've had a bunch of cats. I've had a lot of really good cats and one great cat. Whereas I've had a bunch of dogs. I've had one good dog, but the rest have been great dogs.
Ooh.
So I kind of think I'm a dog person.
Yeah.
Yep.
I lean a little bit to the right for a dog as well.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But we have taken on 2 cats now, and I'm actually I can't say the word love when I refer to cats. I try to, but I tend to struggle saying the word love. I like these cats.
That's exactly.
I like them a lot.
Yep, I like my cats.
I don't know that I could ever love a cat, but I really like these cats. As long as a cat acts like a dog, I really like it.
So you got to help.
I'm not into the whole standoffish, what are you doing?
A cat.
When they look at you like that, and they won't come to you when you call them. I don't like that.
Right. The one cat that I said that I loved, he would come to me. So this will be a fun weekend for me because we're going down to San Antonio, and my grandkids down there, one of them is allergic to cats, and my daughter down there has a cat. So I'm going down to San Antonio to bring the cat back to New England. So I didn't want to buy another cat carrier because I already have 2 of them.
Sure.
So I'm going to be going through the airport this weekend with my empty cat carrier.
Tim, you got to get a little stuffed animal.
I was thinking either a stuffed animal, or I could say it's an invisible cat, or I could say it's the world's smallest cat.
Can't
you see him?
That.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Could say that. Yep. Might get stopped by security.
Yeah.
So what's in this? This is the spring issue right here. This is the one that's out right now.
Right.
But I'll tell you right now, don't always, depending on where you're watching, where you're listening, don't be fooled by the color or by the cover because it changes
from area to area. Most of the
area.
stories are the same, but and the ads are different, but and the covers, but most of it is the same.
Let's talk about some of the things in here. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I want folks to read about it themselves, and I want to talk about advertising and sales and all that. But can I ask you? And I know that that's not in this edition, but you have to tell everybody about this. Your wife must roll her eyes about the idea you had about the Super Bowl party.
Oh, yeah. We rescued this Alaskan Malamute. Great dog. I was only going to foster him, but I fell in love with this dog. So he's such a great dog. So we always host the whenever the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, so we always host that game. And so this winter the Patriots and the Rams were in the Super Bowl, and one of the Super Bowl commercials that just always impressed me was the Budweiser commercial where the dog would go fetch the beer. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna teach my dog how to do that. So wow. It was literally one weekend. I mean, it's a very simple trick to teach your dog. It's just a series of 3 or 4 tricks, and the dogs master it very quickly. So, of course, my dog was like the hit of the Super Bowl party because everybody would say, beer dog, and Maverick would go running for the beer. So
and really get a beer?
Yeah, and really get a beer. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like I said, it's a relatively easy trick to teach. The only problem, once you teach a dog a trick, the dog really doesn't forget the trick.
Yeah, right.
So there are times when, at 7 o'clock in the morning where maybe the dog confuses the command what I'm saying, but he will run to the refrigerator and like, a little early, but I like your thinking, dog. I like your thinking.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did you learn how to teach a dog how to do that?
What's
the trick?
There was a guy, Chet Womack, taught it to me, and it's just it's a series of, you put a towel around the handle of the door, so the dog can pull the door open with the towel. But it's just a matter of just teaching the dog in stages how, first reward him for just opening the door, and then it's rewarding him for getting the beer out of the refrigerator, and then it's rewarding him again for bringing the beer to you. So
wow.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
What's in this one? What's jumping out at you that you might be able to share?
Well, one of the things that I was looking at just quickly, because I'm already out of the spring mode into summer mode.
Yes, right.
But one of the things that I thought was kind of cool was there was this story from Hoehn Dog Food, and they have an article, should my dog be eating a senior food? So sometimes you think, well, my dog is 12 years old, so that's relatively old for a dog. He should be on a senior food, and that's not necessarily the case, because some dogs are, even though they may be old, they're not ready for a senior diet yet. So they're so energetic. Somebody I talked to today had a little dog that was 13, and it was still just a high energy dog. So the senior diet was probably not right. And then on the other side, there's other dogs who are maybe 7, who are not just TV dogs. I mean, they just sit on the couch all day, they just watch TV, and that might be a senior diet might be more applicable for a dog like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
we just not long ago celebrated National Pet Week. Was it Pet Week or was it Dog Week?
It's always Pet Week, isn't it?
Pet Week, yes, right, of course. But the state of Vermont, I think, and you can Google this, is what, #1 overall in America for both dogs and cats ownership?
Yep. Yeah. Over 70% of the households have a pet.
And what about dogs?
There's actually more cat owners than there are dog owners
in Vermont.
And in the country in general.
Really?
So, and a lot of that has to do with, the bulk of the population are in urban areas, and typically it's much easier to have a cat in an urban area than it is, and that's why Vermont does so well with dogs, because of our rural nature.
Sure.
So, and you can, I mean, if I know a person with a dog, I know another person with 2 or 3 dogs.
Why do you think it is, Tim? What's your take on? We have so many dogs in Vermont. We have a great number of humane societies, dog clubs, dog shelters, but
rescue groups. Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like so many dogs are coming in from out of state, from down south, that are coming in on trucks.
Yeah, every Saturday morning there's the bus that comes through.
What is the story?
Up 89.
What is the story?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I mean, I remember, when we rescued Abby, our dog, back in the early 90s. I mean, at that point, there were still a lot of puppy mills in the state, and the pet stores were selling dogs, and I think when we got rid of the puppy mills and the pet stores stopped feeding the puppy mills, that it cut down the supply. And I think that the general public here in New England has been very good with spay and neuter.
Yeah,
and
big time.
And we have wonderful programs for spaying and neutering dogs.
Yeah, VSNP
and a bunch of other programs too. So I think we're just very we're good New Englanders. We're good Yankees. I mean, we're very responsible.
Sure.
And and most of these dogs are coming from down south, and Indiana is a hotbed of dogs that need homes, and Texas and areas like that. So Georgia, yeah. I mean, it's you look at the problems down there, and then you can compare to what's going on up here. It's like, how could it be so different? But it is.
Sure. There are literally any subject that anyone could think of about their pet. I think you've covered it.
Yeah, and you know, and even everything that's not, you know, even stuff that's not technical and
Right.
and medical. I mean, you know, some of the stories, some of the stories are fun. I mean, you know, on the subject, I mean, one of my favorites was it was an old Scottish folklore tale called the Dundee Cat, and it was about this woman, and she was a poor old woman who lived in a flat by herself. It was just her and her this old tomcat, and one night the fairy godmother came and said, "I'm going to grant you 3 wishes." So the old woman thought for a moment. She said, "Well, you know, I wish I had more money than I knew what to do with." Well, the fairy godmother said, "Boom." And she had money coming out of every drawer in that house. There was money in the corner. She said, "This is fantastic." And she said, "Well, for my second wish, I think I'd like to be young and beautiful again." Well, the fairy godmother, she waved her wand, and lo and behold, the woman turned into movie star, gorgeous, beautiful. And she's like, "Oh, I can't believe it. This is fantastic." And the fairy godmother said, "Okay, you have 1 wish left. What is it going to be?" Well, she looked at this old tomcat, and she said, "You know, he's been my only companion for the last 20 years. I kind of wish that he were a good-looking young stud, and, you know, we could have a special night together." So the fairy godmother, she waves the wand, and lo and behold, this guy is just a hunk. He is Fabio. And he turns to the woman and he says, "Ah, my fair lady, I have but one regret, and that was the time you had me fixed by the vet." See, the spay and neutering programs in Vermont are just awesome.
That's awesome. Oh my God!
But you know, and it's funny too, because you know, we get a lot of the stories from, you know, everybody has a, you know, when they find out that I work at a pet magazine, everybody's got a dog and a cat story.
Everybody does.
Yep.
And when you go around and you speak, as you said, to people, that's the icebreaker right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter who you're talking with, whether they're an Ivy League professor or just some regular Joe.
Well,
everybody's got an animal and a story.
And they all they all consider their pets as part of their family. I was reading an article in Forbes magazine today, and there's this new trend going on nationally, where the real estate and housing industry is now actually starting to build houses not only around the people part of the family, but also the dogs of the family. I mean, they're putting little dog showers in the laundry room.
Sure.
They're building custom shelves. You know,
Sure.
they're building inside dog houses.
A separate house that's attached to your house.
Right, exactly.
With their own couch.
Right.
That they can trash.
And they're actually building dog houses inside your house. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, and they said from a real estate standpoint that, you know, when we started buying houses, it was always, "Hey, so how far are you from, how far is this house from the school?" I mean, the schools were really important when we were buying houses.
Yeah.
Now, one of the questions and the pitches from the realtors is how far this house is to the dog park.
Yes.
And the dog park is now becoming almost the equivalent of the school.
Isn't that something else?
Yeah.
Well, you're right. I mean, they are family to us, and in some cases, and you and I have had a good chuckle about this. Sometimes it would be easier to put down a family member than it would be one of our pets.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we love our pets in many cases more than we love anything else.
Well, that's one of the reasons why, you know, we talk about getting a dog when the kids are young.
Yeah.
Because I had an old business partner of mine. He was an old French Canadian, and you know, he said, "Yeah, you always get the dog when the kids are young because they get to grow up with the dog, and typically when the dog dies, it's the first time you can really teach your kid about death, because even if grandma and grandpa go beforehand, you know, how often do you see grandma and grandpa? Maybe once a week, maybe once a year, but your dog you see every day." And so having the dog is the opportunity to talk about death and the whole process. And certainly, it's always sad when you have to put down your dog.
Yeah.
But it's part of the circle, right?
I have literally read your magazine and shed a tear. I have literally read this magazine and laughed out loud, and everything in between. I have learned about brushing your dog's teeth. I've learned about cleaning your dog's ears. I've learned about holistic approaches to pretty much everything, including hot spots during the summer months. Eyesight, skin coat, nutrition, which, as you said, $27 billion industry. Behavior issues, dog training, doggy daycare is exploding across the nation.
Dog walking,
people,
doggy
dog
daycares,
walking services. People leave to go to work. They bring their dogs. They drop them off at doggy daycare. They go work their 8, 9, 10 hours.
Yep.
Come back, pick up their dog at the end. Literally doggy daycare.
Yeah.
And a good dog is a tired dog. Mm-hmm. So you get home, and your dog's had a great day being a dog.
Right. Exactly.
Exercising.
Yep.
Mingling with other dogs. Having fun. Maybe even getting a little dirty. They'll clean them up for you by the end of the day. I mean, does it get any better than that?
Oh, exactly. I mean, and that's what, it's funny because, we take I take Maverick out for a run in the morning. And, I mean, it's been a rough spring, but I mean, we typically try to get out all the time. But I noticed recently he was getting bored with the walk. And so I was talking to one of our clients, and she said, well, where do you walk? I said, well, I've got this great loop. It's a 2-mile loop around our house through the neighborhood. It's awesome. And she said, do you walk the same loop every day? I said, oh yeah, it's great. It's an awesome. I said, I know exactly how long it is. She said, well, the dog gets bored with the same smells.
Yeah.
Have you thought about, mixing it up a little bit? Nope, never thought about that. So I changed it up, and next day, dog was back to, loving the walk. Yeah.
Why is it that it seems, and maybe maybe you're dialed into this, maybe you have no idea. Why is it that it seems, Tim, now that we're seeing more and more dogs, generally smaller dogs, in grocery stores, shopping, in Target or Dick's Sporting Goods or anywhere? We're seeing people carrying around their dogs more.
Right. Well, and a lot of those dogs are probably service dogs or therapy dogs. And, I mean,
and even the ones that aren't, it's almost like we have to bring our dogs.
Yeah.
We're not going to leave them in the car, even though, it's not hot or cold.
Right.
We have to take them with us.
Yeah.
And
it's our security blanket.
Well, it used to be like, it was taboo to bring your dog with you indoors unless there was, a sign on the door that said, pets are welcome, like at Petco or wherever.
Right.
Or any kind of pet store.
Yeah. I just think they just bring such a comfort to you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I see little poodles in shopping carts in Price Chopper.
Yeah. I remember we did a story a few years back, and June 21st is National Bring Your Pet to Work Day.
Yes.
And so I did the story about it, and I had a lot of people just say, "Hey, we live in Vermont. Every day is Bring Your Pet to Work Day." And there are a lot of people who I was up at the Automaster up in Shelburne today, and meeting with John, and he said a lot of people bring their pets to the delership now, and a lot of the car dealerships are very pet friendly. I mean, you go to
look at Lamoille Valley Ford.
Yeah, or 802 Honda. They have the dog bowls out there for the dogs and everything. Yep. So
isn't that something?
Yeah.
It's interesting too, and I know you're a beer connoisseur. The breweries, the microbreweries, and the whole industry everywhere that's exploding.
Yep.
In Vermont, it is just massive.
Highest number of per capita.
I mean, And a lot of these breweries are really getting dialed into, and they're very smart, to say, let's study our demographic. Who's drinking the craft beers, the microbrews? Who's willing to spend more money on a beer? This demographic. And this demographic, generally, married couple, at least one kid, own a house, pretty decent job, have a dog.
Yep.
They're all welcome to come into our brewery. Dogs are welcome. And
Yep.
it's just, there is a craze going on right now with breweries being pet friendly. There was one just down at Fiddlehead in Shelburne that had an employee was bitten by a dog there, so they've decided to nix the whole dog welcome thing and remove the dog welcome sign from their doors. But for the most part, breweries and look at Prohibition Pig. You can sit out on the deck there,
especially
and
most of them that have the outdoor seating. I mean, in the summertime.
Yeah, Hillstead Farm. You've been up there, Greensboro?
No.
Oh yeah,
because they have the Chittenden County Humane Society. They always I think it was either Tuesdays or Thursdays in the summer they do the Bark and Brew, and it's you bring your dog and Magic Hat. They serve Magic Hat is there, and it's basically you let your dog play with run around back with the other dogs and and you could just have a couple of cold ones after work and just meet people and hey, life is grand.
This is next month, June. I will not be doing my Cause for Paws Pet Expo. I'm going to take a year off. There's just too much going on.
I know that bums us out because we always loved the event.
I love doing Cause for Paws, and I'm going to bring it back probably next year. But there's going to be definitely some changes going forward. I need a bigger committee of help.
Yeah,
it's been
the committee of one isn't cutting it, huh?
Well, the committee of one for the first couple of years, and then last year the committee of one was Dave Rulo. I don't know if you know Dave from the Berrytown Thunder Chickens. He pretty much took the wheel on the whole event and pulled it off and made it happen.
Oh, nice.
And without him, I wouldn't have been able to make it happen. As you know, I've got some elderly parents with a lot of issues and a little girl, a little toddler running around. So there's a lot of distractions.
And they grow like weeds. Got to
yes,
enjoy them while you can. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
and there's just too much happening. But I hope to bring Cause for Paws back with a nice, solid committee of people, maybe 10 people that can really get their hands in there and get shit done.
Well,
and make it happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really missed by the community. I mean, it was such a fun event, and everybody had just wonderful things about to say about it after the fact too, and
but the last one was huge, huge.
And that's what happens.
Doc dogs.
And that's what happens when they start getting really big. It's great that they're getting big, but then it's like, oh my gosh, this thing is getting big.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's next? What do we do when it comes to this magazine, putting it together? There's so much to it. There's so much going on. Mm-hmm. Where do you get your writers? And what about advertising? You flip through this magazine, and I mean, look at this. Delaire's Carpet Barn. I'm not sure if you can see that. Yeah, there you go.
Love the pet, not the stain.
Delaire's Carpet Barn.
Yep.
Love the pet, not the stain.
Yeah.
You have some. I mean, here's one stop on the back. You have some remarkable advertisers in here, and it really doesn't matter what it is. It's related to having.
We try to find a hook.
Even the automobile industry. My God.
Well, it's funny because we were when we were doing the magazine, and I had spent time doing radio, and I had spent time doing television, and and I know what the average radio listener does when the commercial comes on. They
punch.
They punch, and and when the TV commercial comes on, they
Sure.
and the only place that didn't happen was the Super Bowl. I mean, people actually watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. So we always try to find some kind of a pet angle and some kind of a pet tie-in with the advertiser.
Right, of course.
And we get a lot of response from people saying, hey, I love the pictures, I love the cute little stories, and we love the ads.
Yeah.
And that was really what I was looking for with the magazine, because from an advertiser standpoint, there's nothing worse than, spending money on advertising and then have your ad not either heard or seen.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah. So.
Or have it be boring.
Right.
I mean, I'm just thinking as you're speaking, I'm thinking about the Budweiser horses, which of course we always attribute the horses to Budweiser, but the dog was the big was the big part of that commercial.
Yep.
It's remarkable. I mean, everything in here, and you create these ads, these visual ads,
Yep.
and the verbiage that goes with them.
Yep.
In your mind, it seems most of the time, anyways, when you're driving your car, you're thinking about that.
It's that windshield time,
It's the windshield.
What else are you gonna do?
I don't know if it's left brain, right brain,
Right.
but man, you've got it dialed in.
Right.
You've got such creativity with your advertising, and people remember the advertising for how funny it was or how serious it was, and they don't forget it.
Right.
They attribute, they connect it.
And even ads that, they ran 3 issues ago, but people still remember it because I'll have clients who say, yeah, gee, I had somebody, am I still running in your magazine? Because I had somebody just come in the other day and say that they saw the ad.
Yeah.
And I have been in a couple of issues. So
From dog poop to, I mean, it doesn't matter. You've got a fun twist. And that's a real talent that you have. I don't know if that comes from your years of copywriting for commercials and radio or what, but you've got a knack, brother.
Well, this subject matter is just so easy. I mean, it was, Harry Truman, President Truman, who said, if you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. Yeah. And, I mean, he was so right. I mean, people, like I said, people just, I mean, you know how it is. People just love their pets.
Sure.
And, it's very easy to work and write around the subject matter. I mean, it's a never-ending pot to choose from.
You know what's massive in your magazine right now is this Wags to Wishes, the Bark for Life of Franklin County.
Yep, that's coming up shortly.
They do this every year. I think in the spring.
Yeah, I think it already happened too, didn't it?
Relayforlife.org.
Yeah, last week. Yep.
Bark Franklin, Vermont is in there on Facebook too, but that's an opportunity to raise funds to fight cancer in dogs, which I think is the number one killer.
Yeah,
and it often runs. There are so many folks that are watching, listening, that have lost their dogs so quickly to cancer.
Yeah.
They seem fine one day, the next day they're gone. And it moves so quickly. Cancer is a huge topic. How did you get dialed in with these veterinarians? How did you foster that relationship with them and get content and information from them all over the state?
Well, I think it goes back to the same attitudes that the vets have that we have, is that they love their pets, they love what they do, and they're very concerned about the health and well-being of your pet. And they also saw the issue of hey, we have to Google everything. Let's just Google everything.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, there is a lot of misinformation on the internet, and so they wanted to be part of the solution. And so that's why I take very little from the internet. I mean, most of my vets, I mean, it's a mission that we all have to provide the best information for our pets.
Yeah. Glucosamine Chondroitin is what now? That's basically...
It's like a shark cartilage.
Yeah.
So it's used for hip and joint.
Hip and joint, to keep those joints lucid. This is something that there's so much to learn from this magazine from a holistic approach, but and natural foods too, just raw foods, raw diets.
Right. Well, and look at the
huge right now.
Look at the CDB oil industry. I mean, that's just taking off, and I got to tell you, I mean, I've heard from so many of our readers who have tried it and saying, "Oh my gosh, this stuff is just the best," and it's really it's really made a huge impact on their pets' health and the comfort that their pets are feeling.
Yeah,
and it was pretty controversial because I don't think the VVMA, the Vermont Veterinary Medical Association, has come out one way or the other yet. They haven't. I think they're in the wait and see attitude, which is what I'm hearing from many of my veterinarians in the state. But I mean, and I was a little leery about it at first too. I mean, I thought, oh geez, if I give this to my dog, is he going to eat a bag of Doritos and listen to Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon? I mean, because it is a hemp-based product. So but then then you come to find out, okay, it's not the THC has been removed, so it's not the hey man.
Right. Well, let's plug one of your sponsors, one of your advertisers.
One Stop Pet.
One Stop Country Pet Supply. They have an incredible line of CBD products there. Route 302 in Berlin, Brattleboro on Putney Road, and in Keene, New Hampshire, 3 locations. They've got a great line of CBD products there. I knew a lady whose dog was suffering from seizures, and the CBD just did it. Did it.
Yeah, we have a friend of ours who uses it on their cat, and it's done wonderful things for their cat.
For everything.
Too.
From joint health to skin coat to inflammation, everything.
Yep. The other thing too is since we're getting into that season, we had that nasty thunderstorm the other, and because somebody had emailed me the next day like, hey, is there anything my dog just freaked out, I don't know what to do, and it took me like 2 hours to really mellow to calm the dog down. And I said, well, have you tried the Thunder shirts? And she said,
which is like a compression shirt.
And she said, yes, we have it, but it doesn't do anything. Is there anything else? And I said, well, if you go to your local pet store, Vermont Pet Naturals of Vermont, they have those the pet calming supplements. And they're little chews. They're like soft chews. So I mean, the dogs will eat them, and cats will eat them. And it doesn't make your pet dopey, sleepy, or anything like that. It just mellows them out. Just takes the edge off.
Just the edge.
So when I come back from San Antonio with my cat in a bag in the airport, I'm going to do the pet calming. So, but I wanted to remind you of that because it is thunder and lightning season. We do have the 4th of July coming up. in a while too.
Of course. One of my sponsors is CBDcrave.com, and they are a fantastic company. They have one of their products is the chicken dog treats for pets. And I mean, of course you can find these everywhere, but if you get on cbdcrave.com, they're going to give you a nice discount if you
nice.
If you punch in. I can't remember exactly what the code is, but they'll give you a discount for watching this podcast.
Oh, cool.
They'll tell you on the website what the discount
Gotta
is.
love that free.
Oh yeah, but this, they use fresh, whole, natural animal protein, and they've got freeze-dried treats for your dog. There's so many products. I mean, and for all of us, canine and human. But it's really remarkable. We were also, speaking of ailments, we were also chatting just a little while ago in the parking lot while we were coming in here about how you're apt to get less disease, less illness in your life if you're a pet owner.
It was a dog owner. It was a dog owner. 23% less chance of heart disease. So
23% chance less.
Yes.
Of heart disease if you own a dog.
So if you own a dog, JD, because you're 22% more likely to have heart disease if you don't exercise and sit on the couch and watch TV all
This
the
is
day.
true.
So if you get a dog,
With your dog fetching a beer for you.
right? So one will offset the other, and you still get like the extra 1%. So right?
Yeah, I mean, one of your stories in here is why cuddling your puppy is a good thing. It reduces stress.
Yeah.
It just kind of resets the circuitry in our brains for a little while when we have some time to just cuddle our pets.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing.
Well, you know what? It's we have my youngest daughter. She went down to there was a little pit bull down in New York City at one of the shelters down there, and it was a kill shelter, and Rico was slated for Saturday at noon. And so my daughter, who has never driven in New York City before, let alone Manhattan, so she left Vermont at 6 o'clock in the morning and raced down to New York City, and she got that little dog, and like I said, we were going to just foster this dog, and to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't have a lot of experience with pit bulls.
Right.
You hear about pit bulls, and
sure. Man, you've got some fantastic articles about pit bulls and how wonderful they are.
I got to tell you,
man.
I have fallen in love with this dog. I mean, my only knock on this dog is if I do get up from my spot on the couch for more than 30 seconds.
Opportunist.
This dog is there.
Boom. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Tips for the canine toolbox, tools for new dog introduction. Great story on that. Where are you getting these writers from? They're fantastic.
A lot of them are friends. You know, the other thing too is, even though the magazine is free, because of all the tourists that we get here in Vermont, there's a lot of people that subscribe to the magazine outside of the New England area. I mean, we send a lot of magazines down to North Carolina, down to Florida, Texas, Australia. I mean, all over the world. So
$13 a year.
Yeah. I mean, basically, we don't make any money on it. It covers our postage and handling.
Postage.
So, but so that's the and then a lot of these people. Kate Kelly, for example, I mean, she was one that she's a writer, lives in L.A., but she was up visiting her sister up in Sharon, Vermont.
Wow. She
picked up the magazine, and now she's a regular contributor to the magazine, and she writes wonderful stories.
Yeah, I mean, your photography is exceptional. You got of course, Therapy Dogs Vermont is an organization you work very closely with. Brian Carton, who's been up to my mom's nursing home.
Yeah.
With Judson and the big Mastiffs. And I see a great article in here about Green Mountain Animal Defenders celebrating 35 years of making a difference in the lives of so many pets. I mean, look at this. I mean, there's just everything in here. It's just so impressive. I remember you saying to me, we've got I can't remember who it was. It might have been, I don't remember. It was an automobile place that was advertising with you. And I'm like, Tim, how are you tying that in, buddy? And you're like, have you seen the state of your car lately? Have you seen all the dog hair everywhere? What do you do with an older pet that's having a hard time getting in and out of your car? There are vehicles for people that have to have a dog in their life.
Yep.
Whether it's an active dog or a non-active dog. We have to have a vehicle that is feasible.
Oh, exactly. I mean, dog-friendly vehicles. I mean, that's
getting in and out.
That's one of the pitches from the sale. Yeah, exactly.
Ramps.
It's funny because they have in Europe right now. Nissan is test marketing the dog package on the Rogue, and this version of the Nissan Rogue has a hose built into the car so you can hose off your dog.
You told me about this.
There's the automatic dog dish. There's even a video camera, so in the back that your dog can see the owner in the front. So
wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
I'm not sure when it's coming to America, but I'm sure they will sell a lot of them.
People are getting onto their phones and looking at live video stream of their dogs at home and talking to them.
Right.
People before that, we were calling our homes while we were at work, leaving voicemail messages on the answering machine for our pets to hear our voices. Now we have special programming on TV for our dogs to be laying and watching TV all day, looking at other dogs or cats or whatever playing. I mean, sky's the limit.
There's this cool piece. I haven't tried it out yet. I'm waiting for it to arrive in the mail. But it's the video camera where you can see your dog and your dog can see you.
Right.
And then you actually have the ability to push the button on your app, and it'll flip a treat out at your house for your dog. I mean, how cool is that, huh?
Wow. Wow. We only have a minute or so left here, but one of the most important subjects that it seems every spring and summer in your magazine, I see it in there, Tim, is, and you emphasize this so well, so profoundly, is the importance of not having your dog left in your car during not just the summer months, but the spring months too.
Yeah, this is really the dangerous
We
time.
talk about it all the time, man. I mean, the temperature of the inside of that vehicle, even on a cloudy day,
Right.
even on a cloudy day with a breeze.
Right.
How many horror stories have you heard?
Oh, way too many. You know, and you're absolutely right. I mean, spring and fall is the really tough time. I mean, you know, most people have enough common sense when it's 90 degrees in the summertime. Don't leave your dog out there.
Sure.
I mean, that's, you know, but, you know, hey, it's a 70-degree day today.
Right.
It's very nice. I mean, I got a
right.
jacket on. I mean, it's not like it's hot outside.
Sure.
But I can guarantee you, I can go outside right now, and my car is probably going to be about 120 degrees inside.
No doubt.
You know, imagine if your dog, and it's always the same thing where, you know, you're going to run into the convenience store for just a minute.
Right.
And that's there. You see a buddy that you haven't seen in a long
Sure,
time.
of course.
And that minute turns
And
into,
you've forgotten.
Right.
Whatever. We're all guilty of
Yeah.
it. We're all guilty of it. What's new at the Westminster Dog Show? That's another write-up in this edition. It's Four Legs in a Tail magazine. This is the owner, the author, the publisher, the everything behind it. Tim Hoehn, my guest this time around on Aired Out. Brought to you again by Fontaine Forestry and Millworks, our presenting sponsor. Route 14 in East Montpelier. Mark Fontaine and the family, Fontaine Forestry and Millworks. Thanks to Tim Hoehn and the rest of his team at Four Legs and a Tail. Check them out online at fourlegsandaTail.com. We'll catch you next time. Have a great rest of your Friday night. I'm J.D. Green, and you've got Aired Out.